Who the hell is Karl Stefanovic?
For so many years, he has been one of Australia's highest paid TV personalities.
Karl, I see that the Lord has branded you with the words unlikely hero.
A man who isn't a stranger to scandal, even if he caused it himself.
Do you notice anything about Karl, man?
Sounds like he's trying.
Look at that smile.
It is.
And now he's been dumped from his show and fired from the high-paying network. But this isn't his first dumping.
But I quote, and this is the problem we have: protecting freedom of speech is at the core of Nine News and current affairs.
And this might shock you, but he planned all of it. So why are people so stupid to fall for it?
Someone shouldn't be fired for having someone on the podcast that didn't align with the mainstream media's views.
Hello, I'm Wilco, and welcome to Rehashed, the home of the trash, mess, and drama. I could smell that Karl Stefanovic was itching to create some mess with his Joe Bogan podcast, and we knew it was only a matter of time before the Stefanovic shit hit the fan. So I did a video about it a couple of weeks ago. I'll link it here. But for those of you who don't know who Karl Stefanovic is, let me explain. He's been cemented onto our Australian TV screens for over 26 years, working as a reporter for Channel 9 and then moving his way up to our version of The Today Show. He's been doing that for the last 21 years. And the height of his popularity was really from 2005 to 2015. If there was a disaster that was on our screens, he was there, like Brisbane floods, a cyclone or two, and he really got praise for his coverage of the Beaconsfield mine collapse.
There it is. It's true. They're back.
He played the part of the Aussie larrikin. Karl's just your knockabout Aussie mate you'd meet down the pub. He also just happens to be the poster boy for the Nine Network. And even if he had a big night at that pub, it wouldn't stop him from showing up to work like he did post the 2009 Logie Awards, absolutely shit-faced.
Can't believe how good you looked this morning.
Oh, shush.
How good does Lisa Wilkinson look with zero sleep? I applaud you and I salute you and I praise you.
After denying it for years, he finally admitted he was blotto on the show. But honestly, most Australians would have found it funny, Karl, so you should have admitted it sooner. Karl, drunk at his place of work, classic Aussie larrikin. Around 2016, though, things get a little bit bumpy. His personal life crumbles with the breakdown of his 21-year marriage, and people were sympathetic until 5 months later, pics dropped in tabloid mags of him with a younger woman who would also eventually become his wife. The narrative was he just ditched the woman who raised their kids while he was off working when he just didn't need her anymore, and the constant coverage did not look good. Another scandal to add to the pile, along with his little brother Peter, who is also a journalist, they created Ubergate. Oh my goodness, do you remember this? Peter was on the phone to Karl while in an Uber, and they had a 45-minute conversation, all on speakerphone, which is a great start. Karl vented about his co-host at the time, Georgie Gardner. He also bitched about 9 executives. Imagine what he'd be saying on the phone to him now.
What do you mean they want to sack me? I'm Karl fucking Stefanovic, for fuck's sake.
Karl, you're on speaker. Jokes. He's not mad about being dumped. He wanted this, and I'll tell you why in a second. This Ubergate scandal, though, contributes to his first dumping from the Today Show, and it comes a couple of weeks after his very lavish wedding to his new bride. You remember her from the pics earlier. But during the first dumping, his contract with Nine is still intact, so he pops up for some 60-minute stories just to justify his inflated paycheck. But eventually, when all the tabloid goss dies down, Nine puts him back on breakfast television where he has stayed until now. It's hard to get an exact figure, but Karl is on around $2 to $3 million a year, and once upon a time, television networks could easily pay that kind of money to someone who mostly rated second his entire career. But in this economy, and with streaming dominating audience attention, who's watching the Today Show before work? Karl knew that his paydays were numbered, and like all of us white guys, he also decided to get a podcast. The Karl Stefanovic Show. This show he was given permission to do by Channel 9, but it has nothing to do with them. They really want to make that clear. And as I mentioned in my first video, Karl has a blueprint to get ears and eyes on it very fast. Following the likes of Stephen Bartlett, Mel Robbins, but also sprinkle a hint of Tucker Carlson.
On your show, you said, could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist?
Could this be the Antichrist?
And don't forget our mate Joe Rogan. Karl got himself a little bit grifty, and he makes sure that he distances himself from what he has done for the past 26 years, because mainstream media now is a dirty term. He wanted to be like Miley leaving Disney. God, Guys, he's just a bad boy now with nobody controlling what he says, no media authority or shareholders to bow down to. And he's made as much noise as he possibly could, leaning to the right of politics, his first guest being Pauline Hanson, who in Australia is a very divisive figure.
Don't worry, I've told my staff, all right, if I become like a Joe Biden, tap me on the shoulder. So that's all been worked out. It's in my will.
I mean, who isn't divisive in politics these days? Like, you can't say shit without someone having a cry that your own politics doesn't align with theirs, and it's a real shame. Anytime I do anything that mentions politics on this channel, everyone's like, I don't come here for politics. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. And the trend on Karl's channel continues. He throws in Pete Evans, a guy who sold a 15K lamp that was meant to cure COVID and got taken to court for that bullshit. He even apologised to Pete.
Big balls to be able to come out and publicly apologise for your stance.
And with this very curated guest list and topic of conversation, he gets a loyal fan base of people who are outraged with what's called the common sense crowd. They're angry, they love populist politics, and Karl is sliding onto their algorithm like a tinfoil hat. But if we just break it down, simply it's rage bait. You've got the left of politics fuming over the platforming of people who have some real shitty records when it comes to factual information, and you've got the right frothing the narrative. It's the perfect way to build an audience. But what I really don't understand is how these right-wing populist groups and conspiracy theory types welcome him with such open arms so quickly, when he was still, until most recently, the mainstream media. Most mornings 6 to 9, he was the mainstream man. And then he'd go on his podcast shitting all over the mainstream media. To me, it was so clear that he wanted to keep his giant mainstream media paycheck, but also have his angry online friends in his back pocket creating some side hustle cash. So if Channel 9 were fine with him doing this podcast and they've been A-OK with the guests he's had on so far, why would all of a sudden he be sacked? Everyone's talking about this one interview that was mysteriously removed. There was nothing mysterious about it, but we'll get to that. But the issues with this podcast and Channel 9 have been building for a while. Karl has been begging for a sacking. I reckon he engineered the whole thing. He shits on the media and the campaign that his own network ran to encourage people to get vaccinated. That would have pissed them off. He goes on to start being Team Ben Roberts-Smith all of a sudden, who is an Australian soldier who has been charged with 5 counts of the war crime murder. And also, the network that broke the story against Ben Roberts-Smith was 9, with their show 60 Minutes, Karl's same network that he was with. Oh, and another thing that would piss off the bigwigs with this story, it goes deeper, because of the board chair of their biggest rival, Channel 7, Kerry Stokes, he is funding Ben Roberts-Smith's defense. So, Karl, you're just undermining the people who pay your wage. Like, again.
To be honest, I think Karl wanted to be cancelled. I think he was daring the network to sack him.
I mean, come on. Karl knows what he's doing. There is no way he's just innocently speaking his truth and that he's going to be shocked that his own network aren't impressed with his comments and his little independent venture. But something that he definitely knew would bait the rage was an interview with this guy, Tommy Robinson, which isn't even his name, by the way. While Karl has been on break from the Today Show, he's been in the UK pumping out content. His interview with Tommy Robinson was uploaded and then mysteriously taken down some hours later.
In my opinion, this is an infringement of free speech and is a clear example of how the MSM is trying to change the narrative and trying to regain their power.
Outraged that Carlos has been silenced. To which I say, he did it himself. YouTube owners Google have confirmed that they didn't remove it or block it, so he did it himself to create the media storm we see now. Even if his employer Channel 9 demanded he take it down, he could have easily left it up. And it would have had to have been him who sent it to Pauline Hanson, One Nation leader, and Tommy, the guy that he interviewed, for them to post on their respective YouTube channels. More on them in a sec. When it comes to the internet, don't let the truth get in the way of a really good story, because now it's apparently all about free speech. Oh, fuck. Karl has been silenced.
And what has Karl done?
Whether you love someone's content or hate it, normalizing things like sudden takedowns or cancelling is just pathetic.
So none of the platforms he freely posts all of his content to removed his content. And my question is, how is any of this trying to silence Karl? Karl's contract with 9 only had 6 months left on it. Like I mentioned before, he had no chance of that deal being renewed. So the podcast was going to be his new bread and butter. Even if Channel 9 demanded he take it down, would someone who walks around in a hat saying 0 fucks, who already knows he's halfway out the door, why would he need to do this? He just wouldn't. He did it to make it a thing because he knows that that's the fuel that his new show runs on. It's fucking outrage. Plus, let's tack something onto this. Nine is a publicly listed company that answers to shareholders and advertisers. It's their right to dump anyone who breaches contract, and Karl for sure did when he brought the company into disrepute. Karl is not brand safe anymore. And that's not a new thing. Brands have stopped for eons backing a show, network, or individual because they cannot be trusted to keep their shit together. But who is this Tommy guy that Karl interviewed, and why is it such a problem?
So, yes, my name's Stephen Lennon, real name, Yaxley Lennon if you want to play it that way.
Tommy Robinson, again, not his real name, is the co-founder of the English Defence League, a far-right anti-Islam street movement, and served as its leader until 2013. He's no longer with them. Prior to that, he was a member of the British National Party, which was a British fascist political party from 2004 to 2005. He has had 5 separate prison sentences for assault, fraud, using a false passport, he was trying to get into the US under one, and contempt of court. He also just says shit online, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that helps spread lies that contributed to riots in the UK. He's one of those who doesn't need facts. He needs outrage. And he has a base who are angry and ready to physically fight. So when Karl, who is a journalist, he is a trained journalist, sits down with Tommy, does he push back or question him on anything? Nope. Not one fucking thing. The only thing Karl is surprised about with Tommy...
I'm surprised you're not dead yet.
Karl goes on to talk about how Tommy has tested the boundaries, and that's a fucking understatement. The boundaries of legal. Tommy talks about how he's like invisible and has been until Elon Musk gave him his Twitter platform back. By the way, he wasn't invisible, but sure, okay.
And I state facts, not opinions, facts.
Ah, sure you do, Tommy. Facts just like after a tragic killing of 3 young girls at a dance studio by a 17-year-old, you went on your little socials and suddenly suggested it was all in the name of Islam, posting more evidence to suggest Islam is a mental health issue rather than a religion of peace, which then caused riots and had Muslim, Asian, and black communities targeted when it ended up being a UK-born teenager who was brought up in a Christian household. Not an asylum seeker, not someone there illegally, and not someone who is Muslim. But Tommy's insinuations amassed more than 13 million views in a single day, leading to the largest civil unrest in Britain in 13 years, involving 27 towns and cities. And who helped stoke those fires of misinformation and rage? Tommy fucking whatever your name is. And when it was announced that it was a UK-born teen from a Christian family who regularly attended church, do you think that Tommy apologized for spreading lies? Nope. Absolutely not. Didn't say a fucking thing. And did Karl question or push back on anything Tommy said in the interview? You guessed it. Nope. Not one fucking time. Karl laughed, got real cozy, and even professed his love for him.
The courage that you're showing in trying to stand up for what you believe is right.
It's not what I believe is right. It's what's right.
And this behaviour is exactly the problem for me. I'm not a fan of Channel 9. I worked there for years and I tend to think most mass media companies in Australia are managed by knobheads. But all the people who are now trying to compare what Channel 9 does with their interviews and what Karl has done, comparing them as the same thing when they're just not. 60 Minutes specifically from the 9 Network has interviewed some despicable people, but they bring up the uncomfortable truths and push back on misinformation. And Karl isn't doing that, which for me isn't journalism. No matter what people online think, what Karl is doing is platforming any fringe guest he can to get a very loud and proud audience to trust and accept him, and that's fine. Like, it's not for me, but Karl, this is your freedom of speech at play. But it doesn't work when you try to have your cake and eat it too. There was no way having a foot in each of these camps, mainstream media and his little podcast, was going to work long term. And Karl didn't need it to be. He just needed it to cause enough drama to get the attention he so desperately craves before the clock ran out on the Channel 9 cash cow.
$1,000 winner, so stand by.
Oh, sorry guys, the cash cow is a Channel 7 thing, so the joke doesn't work. The thing that Karl's doing now, he's just telling an audience what they want to hear, and I can see the appeal in that. I would love to have a podcast that would tell me everything I personally think is true and correct. But that isn't the world. I know the word fact has really lost its meaning in 2026, but really, facts matter more now than ever. Another big question I have, what are the divorce terms with Channel 9?
I think they've spent the last 2 days negotiating the terms of the exit in a way that probably isn't going to end up in court.
They agreed to go their own ways, effective immediately, with Nine Chief Executive Matt Stanton calling it the right time for Karl to leave.
We know this is a significant change for our viewers and all of us here at Nine. However, it's the right time to make it.
Because I think they knew what he was doing as well. Nine and Karl mutually agreed it was no longer possible for him to host the Today Show anymore. And that's fair. He's been putting all his energy into his new project. If I was his employer, I'd be pissed too. Still, we don't know the exact payout, if any. Is he leaving with a big chunk of change? There might be some change, but it won't be large. Channel 9, like all traditional media, is in the toilet, share price-wise, having dropped over 44% in the last year alone. It's just not relevant these days. So money is very important, and you can't afford to lose a single cent. So when someone like the mad fucking witches come calling, you better listen. Well, they actually don't call you, they call all your clients. If you don't know the MFW, they're an advocacy group that target people or organisations they accuse of spreading misogyny or racism. And after that Tommy interview, they had Karl at the top of their shit list.
I don't like the fact that, another organisation is being bullied or kowtowed by these sort of activist groups who are saying, we're going to tell all your advertisers not to advertise with you.
They work by targeting advertisers or sponsors of the media entity, making them bleed cash. They put their posts on their social groups and then the witches jump on their broomsticks and do their worst. Or best. I don't know. It depends how you look at it. Whatever they did must have hit Channel 9 fast, because very quickly they put up a statement claiming that Karl's podcast had no affiliation with 9 and they have no control over the content. The MFW are also the group that helped ruin the Karl and Jackie O show, certainly made their lives a nightmare while they expanded into Melbourne specifically. Actually, you know what would be a great interview, Karl? If you got Jenny, the head of the MFW, to sit down and do a podcast chat with you. I reckon you'd push back on a few things there. Anyway, everyone is desperate to know what Karl is doing. He posted a short message on his own YouTube channel, which again, he can do because he still very much has free speech.
So I'm free. Truly independent.
You were always free, mate. You could have left your job at any time to continue your podcast, but you wanted to have both, you little greedy guts. He goes on to thank his audience and his teammates.
Public deserve to hear perspectives. This country was built by, hard-working Aussies from all around the world, and they were bound by the same values.
I don't disagree. It's great to hear other perspectives, but I don't want to live in a silo. So if I see someone proclaiming to be a journalist, I expect them to give me a whole picture of the guest and push back on narratives, especially if they're factually fucking false. Which you are not doing, Karl. He also talks about Aussies who are really hardworking and we need to share all the same values. And I mean, come on, you could find a white kid just like me who grew up in the same surroundings with a very similar family, and I bet we would have very different values. Values will never be totally aligned. He goes on to say that sometimes he agrees with his guests and sometimes he doesn't, but
you get to make up your mind. You have the right to hear from different voices, freedom of speech.
And he is correct. His show is about his freedom of speech, and he can do that. Confusing, though, when all of his supporters are claiming that he doesn't have a freedom of speech, but anywho. And about the money, which is very important now, he goes on to thank his sponsors.
I hope other proud sponsors join the show shortly. We're looking for them.
Yeah, he's going to need every cent he can get because that MSM payday has kicked him to the curb.
He's our mate and he's our colleague, and it goes without saying that Karl's presence will be missed. 2 decades is a long time.
You can clearly see that Sarah, his co-host, is upset by it, but also I would bet that everyone in that show would have seen this ending exactly how it has. If you sit there and you watch any employee take the piss out of your employer, a person with a brain would expect the same result. Now, actually, here is Karl's biggest lie.
Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do.
What? You've been doing it. You get every polarizing person you can find and then you platform them. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what you're going to do. Shut up. I mean, whether you're left or right of politics, we can all see this bullshit performance, no?
But I'll figure it out.
And he skips away. Though, confused, are you sad about your job ending or are you happy? What a confusing little performance. I've seen a lot of comments online. I really shouldn't read the comments, but I do. A lot of people calling him a hero and a maverick, to which I say, lol. Karl isn't a maverick. If he was, he would have ditched his cushy mainstream media Today Show money and gone out on his own from the start. He's full of shit. Oh, I've got more evidence. If this guy was so sick of being silenced by his job at Channel 9, then why would he go and sign a deal with ARN to do a once-a-week radio show with Eddie Maguire on the Gold Network? Oh, by the way, a show which he didn't show up for on his week of the Channel 9 sacking.
Karl asked to take leave because of the intense negotiations and reactions to his controversial podcast with Tommy Robinson.
He has this whole other platform where he can exercise his right of free speech, and he chose not to. He could have told his side of this hero fighting for what he believes in, but he didn't. Because, and say it with me, he's full of shit. It would have been the perfect time to jump on air and speak his truth, and it would have been great for ratings, but he chose to put his message on his podcast because that is the audience he truly values. It's also more awkward because that radio show also has a deal with his former network, 9, and the streaming service Stan, which 9 owns. So what does that mean for this show going forward? ARN, this network, by the way, already knows the MFW intimately because they used to own the Kyle and Jackie O show, so they know what happens when you get on their list. Can they really keep Karl on when he is so far from brand safe? As I mentioned earlier, One Nation Party leader Pauline Hanson and Tommy Robinson himself both reposted the interview with Karl on their own YouTube channels with the title "Cancelled," and it's laughable. Because what does that even fucking mean? He himself has said he has sponsors. He also has viewers and listeners, so tell me how the fuck he's been cancelled. He breached his agreement with his cushy mainstream media job. But certain factions love to talk about how they are cancelled as some sort of call to arms for nutters on the internet. But Karl is right where he wants to be. He's following a well-worn path at this point. He created this narrative that he is a truth crusader and he lost his job all because he wanted to speak the truth. He's also fine, by the way. He's a multimillionaire. What do these people think that he needs support? He isn't going to fix your life. He isn't doing any of this out of the goodness of his heart. He's a businessman and this is an ego venture.
We want our Karl back. We want our Karl back. We want our Karl back.
We don't actually.
Oh, it sounds like the cameraman doesn't want Karl back. And like so many grifters before him, he has even been offered a job from another truth crusader. I mentioned her. Oh, God, if I say her name 3 times, is she going to appear? Pauline Hanson.
Karl, come and apply for a job with me. We'll have a great time. We'll put them all on notice and we'll get the country back on track, mate.
And I would argue that he's already doing enough work now for Pauline for free. So, why do you want to start paying him now? He's been doing great work for nada. Here's what I believe. Any group or any side, whether it's left or right, if extreme, is a huge problem. But more than that, anybody who spreads misinformation because it's populist thought, I think they're scum. People like Karl, though, a journalist, are smart enough to have guests on and also hold them to account, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to live in an echo chamber of validation because it makes him feel good and it also keeps him wealthy. Karl Stefanovic isn't a free speech warrior. He's a smart businessman who built this exit ramp out of other people's rage. He's not brave. He's not cancelled. He's exactly where he planned to be. And the saddest part is, it's all fucking working. Hey, did you and I go all the way? Did we? Wow, what a way to start both of our weeks. If we did, let me know in the comments with ATW. And if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up or even a hype if you're nasty. Also, if you want more trash, mess and drama, there is a great video, if I do say so myself, toot my own horn, about the downfall of Kyle and Jackie O that were once Australia's biggest radio show, now in ruins. Enjoy.